not just going to go for Amy Action for governor of Ohio because I don't like Vivek. Like, I'm not doing that.
Different from national. I think we also both operate. That's one thing I appreciate about you. You're not just the system, man, third party. Let's vote Gary Johnson. Like, you know that under universal suffrage, it's a two-party system, and you have to work within that to affect change, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being more genuine about that, because a lot of people online just throw their hat and they'll keep you worrying with each other. And, you know, so I don't want to do that silly crap today. Okay, so flesh out the plan. I disagree. Vote Democrat in 2026. Why? And then walk me through the plan.
So, you know, in 2024, I didn't vote.
Guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen, and make sure to support the channel with a super chat or gift. All right, back to it, guys.
Disagree. Vote Democrat in 2026. Why? And then walk me through the plan.
So, you know, in 2024, I didn't vote Republican. I recused myself. I just told people not to vote. Everybody thinks I voted for Kamala, but I didn't. I just told people to withhold their vote. But in 2026, what really did it for me was the war in Iran. I think that, for me, that was the red line. We were promised no new wars. We got a war in Iran. And I really believe that if you vote for Republicans after that, it's almost like you'll tolerate anything, because that's such an explicit betrayal and on a very serious matter. And then what's more, to maybe get into the positive reason for voting Democrat as opposed to withholding your vote or not voting Republican, is I think that when you look at the House of Representatives in particular, and I say this on my show, they exercise oversight powers under the Constitution. And so they can depose, they can compel the release of documents, they can subpoena, form subcommittees. And I really believe that they, set against the Republicans, will actually work to slow down the administration. And it's not just that the administration is not doing things, they're doing things that are bad. They did try to bury the Epstein files. And if it wasn't for the Democrats and a handful of Republicans, they would have never seen.
Yeah, shout out to Rohana and Massey. You got to give it to them on that one. And Loki, you got to give it to the Dems. And of course, they was doing it for duplicitous reasons. But still, though, they definitely did push to get those Epstein files released, even though the administration said that, yeah, we gave y'all $3 million, and we know there's $3 million more, but kick rocks.
In the light of day. And then you have the War Powers Resolution in the Senate, which got shut down basically along party lines, with one exception, which was John Fetterman. And so, and then you have a group of Democrats, this is just last week, they put out a letter to the White House asking to disclose Israel's nuclear program. Yeah. So I would like to see actually Democrats
can you repeat that?
The thing is, bro, Republicans are not doing that. I mean, I'm be real with you. We all know how aligned Republicans are with the Holy Land, with Israel. Like, they're not doing that.
Last part, just for people who maybe.
But I ain't gonna lie though, it was bold that the Democrats even asked. So I'm impressed with them even attempting to get the Republicans to do that. So shout out to them on that note.
Missed it. There was a lot of rapid fire. Disclosing the nuclear program.
Yeah, there was a group of 20 House Democrats. They signed a letter to the White House basically asking the White House to acknowledge that Israel has a nuclear arsenal, because they believe, and I think it's correct, that the lack of disclosure about that creates a risk of miscalculation or escalation. We don't know where Israel's red line is when they would use a nuke. So these are just like a few examples where I think that it's actually a good thing for Democrats to have a divided government with Republicans and slow down and challenge some of the things that are going on, because I think they're not good. And then, if you will, do you want to stop there and then get on to the other part, or do you want me to finish? Well, no, I think
so. So let's take all of that, you know, let's take it in totality. First off, I still don't think it's anywhere comparable to the actual progress, the wins that have been made under the Trump administration. Like, I wouldn't say and also I don't think that these are things that you couldn't force Republicans to do. For example, it's a pretty popular position, at least in my experience with Republicans on this show, to remove this ambiguity, this unofficial ambiguity as far as Israeli nukes. I also agree with that. I don't think that it outweighs the mammoth wins, but let's assume that, okay, it's a wash for the sake of this. What I really want to know is, okay, so you vote Democrat. I think you and I would both acknowledge, because you've said that voting Democrat is a way to punish Republicans. You're not going to get the change in this system with the Democrat Party. Do I have that right? This is about fundamentally changing the Republican Party through accountability.
Absolutely. Yes,
okay.
Totally.
Okay, good. Just because I don't want people to misconstrue what you just said. Like, so see, Democrats are actually good.
But here's the problem, though. It's like, a lot of us are not going to get down with the idea of just vote for them to punish the Republicans. If anything, we just need to punish all the Republicans that Trump endorsed. So like we should damn near make the Trump endorsement like a scarlet letter instead of like pretty much receiving the thumbs up. So that's what he probably should have done, is just say, look, we need to make the Trump approval a scarlet letter on the Republican Party so we could start getting what we want, because it looked like it's all these guys who are just bowing to Trump. And I mean, all right, you can be loyal to Trump all you want, but if you're not working for the American people and you're just out here to shake your ass in a circle for Trump, then you shouldn't be in office.
Like, they have some bullshit that they throw in every now and then. What do you do after that? So in other words, you're saying this will lead us to a consistent or more representative victory, 2028. What's the roster? Where are the funds? What's the ground game, right? Because it's a big risk handing the country over to the left. We know what they want to do.
Well, and see, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where we might disagree on some things. So the way that I see it, 2028 is really what it's all about. I really believe that this administration is just cooked. Like, I don't think there's going to be a course correction. I have no faith in this administration. I think Trump is old. The people around him are very bad. And so I think the real question is, and this is a huge question, who will be Trump's successor? Because that person is going to define the direction of the party. And I really believe there should be a very competitive primary for the presidential race in 28. And what they're trying to do is consolidate support around either Vance or Rubio, as I'm sure you know.
Facts. No, that is facts. I've already been putting it out there, been testing the water with my audience, and a lot of people are ready for Vance and Rubio. They're already saying they want Rubio. Rubio has been the overwhelming result here. When I put up Vance and Rubio, everybody chooses Rubio, which is scary because Rubio's a neocon. That's why they call him Marco Jubio. Because yes, one, he's aligned. Yes, he's really aligned with Israel. We're talking about the guy saying, yeah, there would never be no such thing as a Palestinian state, no matter how much times they say it. Yeah, that guy. So that's one of the problems there too. Like if Marco Rubio is more of the same, and JD Vance is, well, basically selling out to the tech oligarchs. So both of them don't really seem like a really good choice for the Republican Party right now. We do need a wild horse. Basically, we need another Trump in a way, or an actual one that's actually going to try to make some changes around here. But I'm be real with you, man, that donor money does seem to have too much influence.
Oh, behind the scenes, there's a very big fight going on between donors and between party personnel. Are they going to get behind Rubio, which he seems to have the backing of the neocons and Mark Levin and AIPAC and Miriam Adelson? Or are they going to get behind Vance, who has the support of little
I mean, the donors have already chosen. And I mean, real with you, Miriam Adelson throwing $100 million into these elections. I mean, bro, she's done spent like 10 to 20 million on trying to beat Thomas Massey. So yeah, they got a deep little war chest over here. We got a deep little war chest over here on the Republican side. The problem is for the wrong group of Republicans.
Palantir Tucker, and he's going to clearly run in the more America First lane. At least nominally, he's going to claim that. And I think that we should not have consolidation where it's 80% behind one candidate. I think it should be wide open. I also don't like either Rubio or Vance, because I think you get a neocon or a Palantir guy. And so to me, the only way to have an open field is if everyone associated with the administration is sufficiently weakened. So I'm actually rooting for Democrats to degrade. And
now that is true, though. Miriam Adelson is our George Soros. Like, Dems got George Soros, we got Miriam Adelson. You know, the funny thing is, they're both Jewish. Man, that's hilarious.
Sabotage this administration and the people in it so that they're less politically viable. And maybe that clears the way for a dark horse or an outsider, someone from outside the MAGA, Mar-a-Lago, Trump administration to maybe clinch the nomination in 28. And to me, that's really the big picture.
Okay. So here's my primary problem, what you just said. And it's a keyword maybe. So my first question is the roster. You say, yeah, competitive primary. I agree. I hear who you don't want. The roster, the funds, the ground game. Maybe, right? Because you've tried this before. It's failed. The losses are real with the Democrats that we faced. I would argue, I think it'd be tough to argue against, worst 3 years in modern American history. The wins, the potential wins that you're describing are imaginary with no concretes. And I know that you talked about this with Dan Bilzerian. So I'm not trying to sandbag you here, but if I'm going, okay, there's a risk. It's a political play. Well, I won't be able to take part, along with many conservatives, Republicans, because I cannot vote Democrat. Doesn't mean I'll vote for Republicans all across the board.
Yeah, I'm be real with you. I can't vote Democrat. I think it might be a bit too late. Like if Nick, if you're gonna pull this off, then you should have did it while we're selecting candidates to run for these positions, like the Republican candidates. That's when you should have employed this. Now when it's too late, and now it's like Dem versus Republican, when it could have been just Republican versus Republican for the nomination.
Can't vote Democrat, but the roster, the funds, the ground game, the things that you need to win elections in 2028 through the major risk of handing the country over to Democrats, when we know that means open borders, packing the courts, turning them into citizens, right? DEI back in the administration, H-1B skyrocketing again, all of that. Huge risk, concretes, so we see the payoff.
See, and this is where you might disagree, because I think that's maybe the best argument against it, and you're 100% right.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support, by the way. Make sure to double tap that screen. And, that is a pretty good argument against it. But the problem is, it's pretty much like this, because what I don't like about Steven Crowder's argument, and no, he's right. He's right, though. Everything he's saying about the Dems, yeah, most likely would happen. 90% sure. But the problem is that it's like, all right, so what? We can never hold a Republican Party accountable because, the Dems are just going to trans everybody and they're going to open the border. So basically, the Republicans can just go unaccountable, basically, is what you're saying. And you're never going to vote for, and I get it, I'm not voting for a Dem, but it's almost like we can't hold a Republican Party accountable, or they're just going to hit us with what you're going to do, vote for a Dem. Yeah, I don't think we should let the Republicans have that type of power over any voting base. But apparently, Steven Crowder's ready to give it all up.
Right. It is an extremely risky play, and I don't underestimate that risk at all, and I don't want to understate it. But here's my reframe. Here's kind of like my game theory reframe of it, is I really believe that this country has serious problems with the debt, with the border. They want a $1.5 trillion budget for the military alone. The Republicans do. We got this war in the Middle East. I really believe that without a radical intervention, like a radically different approach, whether we get a Democrat or lesser of two evils Republican, like a continuity with what we have under Trump, I think that's a no-win proposition. Like if it's Gavin Newsom, J.D. Vance, or Marco Rubio, if those are our options, and let's say everybody else in the Democratic field, I don't see any of those candidates solving it, fixing it. To me, it's really just a question of how fast or how slow it's all going to come crumbling down. And so that's the only reason why I say, if we degrade the two people in this administration, it's sort of like we know what we're going to get with them, and we know it's not going to be radical enough. At least if we tear them down, it's a huge maybe, but then there's an opening that something radical may appear. And I've got some people in mind. I wouldn't say them, of course, because that game about who's going to run and who's going to throw their hat in the ring, and then my endorsement might hurt that person if they're characterized as the Groiper or Caesar or something.
No, yes, it would. Come on now. Be real, Steven. Come on, be real. Whoever Nick endorses automatically labeled a Nazi and a racist, a nationalist, they're cooked. So it's best he doesn't, put his name out there behind who he supports. Or he's just going to cook that person's political stock.
I think so. We have examples of that right here. Ken Paxton, who you may or may not like, but Brandon Herrera, who was on the show, he won his primary. We had him on the show. I knew him through the GunTube community. And
guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that icon above, especially if you've been watching for longer than 10 minutes. Go ahead and hit that icon up there. Subscribe to the channel. We do this every day.
Directly went up against AIPAC. They put out a hit on him, figuratively, to be clear to people watching. He fought them, and he's going to win. He's going to win his seat. He then won the primary. So, no, you could have an effect. I actually think it's a requirement, frankly, considering the risk. If we both acknowledge it, the risk is you say something radical could happen. With the answer you're giving me now, something radical will happen. It's the radical that we experienced from 2020 through 2024. So the radical upside, you do got to give a name. You do have to give some finances and a ground game for us to take that risk. Because I don't think, and I'll make the case here, I don't think there's an equivalency. If you look at the actual record, Nick, when Democrats controlled the Senate, gave us open borders, record
I
inflation.
mean, you know, right there, he kind of just already admitted the problem right here. You kind of got to take the money out of politics because, bro, it's the donors that kind of control who we're allowed to vote for. And that's the sick reality of it. I mean, you think you pick your politicians? No, nigga. The corporate guys pick your politician because they kiss their ass and they choose who you get to vote for. And now you're picking between your, well, I mean, at least, I would say this, your favorite corporate puppet. So that's just the reality of our politics in today. And this is why a lot of people say we need to get money out of politics and there should be a donation limit to kind of, curve that. I mean, there may be still, something done behind closed doors, but at least not done right in our face.
Right at 9.1%, trillions in new spending. They, of course, stopped deportations. They stopped building the wall. They put DEI. I mean, they had a Department of Misinformation. Trump 2.0 has put us for the first time in net negative immigration, record deportations, over $1 trillion in cuts. Not to mention doing away with DEI in the administration, some huge Supreme Court wins that actually pave the way going forward. I mean, H-1Bs are a really big thing, I know, because you ran billboards on them. They are not the same. These are actually, I would say, and I think you'd be hard pressed to argue against whether they're enough. They are the single biggest rightward shifts domestically that we have seen in modern American history. And that includes Reagan, Nixon, anyone else. So the risk is what we lived through. That's guaranteed to happen unless we have concrete.
Yeah, what I would push back on is I really think that you think you're overstating some of the wins. To me, I would just say it's too little too late. I mean, as far as like open borders, that's my favorite one because Trump ran in 2016 saying, we're going to build a border wall. And why a border wall? Because it cannot be torn down. You build a physical structure. Democrats can't undo that. If it's an executive order, like Remain in Mexico or some of those other architecture, they can, and they did. And so it was really Trump's failure to build a border wall. And he enforced it through executive orders, which is why Democrats were able to come in and say, oh, we're just going to undo all of that. And you might say, well, okay, Trump has another crack at it. And the border is secure now. It's like record low crossings. There's no apprehensions at the border. However, it seems that once again, he's given up on the wall. You've got
that's incorrect,
coming
Nick.
up.
That's incorrect. Nick, he has built more of the wall in his first 6 months than all 4 years of Biden. And it's on track to be done in 2027. Let's call it 28. It's just
How much
not
wall has he
true.
Built this year?
This last year, it's been, as I understand it, hundreds of feet, and they're going to be putting up digital security, right? Because there's certain areas and terrain that are a little bit more complicated, but more.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll read out what I've been able to find. So let's see here. As of May 2026, that data indicates that approximately 25 miles of new border wall were constructed since January 20th, 2025, with over 10 miles completed in the 50 days preceding May 8th, 2026. Currently, Texas state-led efforts added to this total, with state officials reporting over 80 miles of total completed state-funded wall as of early 2026. Let's see here. So total new construction, approximately 25 miles of new barrier was constructed between January 2025 and May 2026. Wait, that's all? That's it? Really? I mean, depending on how much we got done, I'll be charitable to that. But that's the facts right there.
Than Biden in 4 years. And you're saying vote for those people for 4 years. So there is a difference building anything than nothing. And I agree with you, by the way, like a good example, H-1Bs. Remember, you ran those billboards, right?
Yeah.
And you and I were on the same page. I don't know if you saw this. I was going hard at Elon Musk on X, on H-1Bs, and President Trump. And by the way, I got into an argument with Vivek in person. I suggested a 3-point plan. One of them was a 6-figure fee. So you put up bill. Have you told your audience about the unfathomable wins on H-1Bs?
Well, I believe they hit the cap for H-1Bs last year, did they not, in 2025?
So 26% reduction in issuances, and new overseas H-1Bs, meaning people who are not in this country, down 87%. They were up anywhere from 20 to 90% under Biden. The denial rate was like 1%, 2% on a really good day. 87% reduction on new overseas H-1Bs with a $100,000 fee. If you put up billboards and people are upset about that, and you and I are in the same camp, have you told your audience about that win? That's the biggest shift we've ever seen in H-1Bs. It's not even close.
Again, yeah, I just don't think that's really,
Now, here's a problem. He's saying, all right, so there's an 87% reduction in H-1Bs, but how is that possible when we hit our cap? And I mean, no, we did hit our cap, guys. So unless there was an 80%, 87% reduction in the cap of people that we take in, then I mean, he's stating his fact wrong or he's just wrong altogether. But so yes, the U.S. and Immigration Services has officially met the H-1B visa cap for the fiscal year of 2027. Oh, damn, they already caught up on 2027. The agency announced it received enough electronic registrations during this initial registration window to reach both the 65,000 regular cap and the 20,000 advanced degree exemption. So the master cap. So yeah, I guess we hit that cap, guys. And I mean, if that's considered an 80% reduction, I mean, unless we were taking in like a 200,000, I don't really see the reduction there.
You say, well, they're building hundreds of feet of border wall. That's more than Biden. Well, you know, there's a 26% reduction in H-1Bs. They hit the cap, I believe.
87%. And here's why. 87%. Here's why. You know why? And Nick, let's both pretend that we're smart enough.
How do you have a reduction when you hit the cap? Like, what? I'm sorry, but okay, like, really, bro? Really explain, like, bro, really hear what Steven's trying to tell you. Is like, yeah, we reduced the numbers of H-1B visas, but we hit the cap amount of how much H-1B visas we can accept. Huh? I'm sorry, but that's like filling up, bro. I'm sorry, but that's like filling up with water. That's like filling up a cup of water. It spills over and you're talking about, well, like, guys, we still got more room. Like, what? Or actually, guys, don't you know that's an 80% reduction in space? Like, nigga, what are you talking about?
Okay.
The president has broad powers over people.
And I mean, hey, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm trying to be charitable towards his argument and say, well, maybe they lowered the cap. Maybe they lowered the cap of people they allow in, but the cap has been met. So unless they're talking about lowering the cap, they did not lower the amount of people or H-1B visas they have allowed in.
Coming into this country, right? New H-1Bs. And I see this a lot where he gets no credit for executive orders. But then when things get blocked and cut, they also blame Donald Trump and go, why didn't he get these cuts? Well, that's because of 100% of Democrats. And yes, some feckless Republicans. We should know them by name, the Thunes, the Murkowskis, the Collins of the world who should be voted out. But he has broad powers on who's coming in the country. He can slap 100,000 on that. And he did 87% reduction. To deal with the bulk of H-1Bs, people who are extending them, that would require an act of Congress. So the most potent tool that he has as president, he enacted an 87% reduction in new people coming over. People should know that if they're going to say both sides are the same.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just not sure, but I believe he hit the cap for H-1Bs last year. It was 127,000.
You're always going to hit the cap when you're talking about people extending H-1Bs. What we're talking about is new people, new pajeets coming in, right? Yeah. $100,000. And this is important. It also, by the way, this is your job, my job as commentators. It shifts that Overton window where it's like, hey, we were told that they were bringing in, you know, the Haji Elon Musk or the next Brown Nikolai Tesla. Well, $100,000 fee.
All right, hold on, guys. So let's see here. So the cap in 2025. So for fiscal year 2025, the congressionally mandated numerical limits were the standard of 85,000 total visas. Jesus, I mean, that's a lot of damn visas. But let's see here. It comes to, here's the cap breakdown. It consists of 65,000 regular cap slots, visas associated for individual holdings, at least a bachelor degree or its foreign equivalent. And then we got 20,000 advanced degrees, so pretty much the master slots. And let's see here. Where's this other 20,000? Oh, yeah, no, never mind. 85,000. Yeah, that's 85,000 right there. 65,000 for bachelors, which is kind of crazy because we have a lot of bachelors here. And these are just, bro, 65,000 is fucking crazy, bro. Those are 65,000 students that could low-key get those jobs fresh out of college. I'm low-key pissed. Bro, those are 20,000 people who are just graduating out of masters with $100,000 or $200,000 in debt, looking for a job that can low-key take those positions. And we just gave 20,000 of those jobs away to H-1B visas. Immigrants. And that's crazy how that don't piss people off. It's just amazing.
It would mean nothing. Instead, people now know these were people coming in to undercut Americans as cheap labor. So that number matters a lot. If Congress would act, you're not going to have it, especially not with more Democrats.
I would go further, though, and I would say, you know, so you're still hitting the cap. And I would go further and say, what about all this talk about?
Yeah, you can't have an 85% reduction when, well, we still let in about 85,000 people to take American jobs. Bro, at the highest level, we're talking about bachelors and masters, and that's despicable. Like, yo, what's the point of sending these kids to college and making them rack up a debt if we're just going to do this to them? Like, I'm sorry, but bro, this is why these guys wanted student loan forgiveness. I almost feel it at a certain point. Like, if you're going to do them like this, then, I mean, y'all start forgiving loans. Now, I'm not going to start pushing for that, but I'm just saying, I kind of get the argument now. This is how we're doing the American people.
Seasonal farm visas. What about this mass deportations? We're going to exempt agricultural workers. We're going to exempt farm workers, hospitality, luncheonettes. We're not going to deport anybody other than the criminal illegals. This is what I mean. It's like, because, you know, I think maybe where we're getting.
This can't be the illegals. It got to be across the board. I mean, we're going to even have to revoke H-1B visas. But here's the problem, though. That Republicans and Democrats care too much about the corporates. They care too much about these big corporations more than they care about what the American people want. They rather sell out to the corporate agenda. So that's why they're going to bring in the illegals. That's why they're going to bring in the H-1B visas to undermine us and for cheaper labor. I mean, look, man, somebody got to go through the corporate slavery.
Stuck is, it's not as if things are not improving. Like, you're 100% right. At Department of Labor and at DHS, they are making some policy changes. The $100,000 fee, I think that's great. And that's a great start. And cutting down the new overseas visas, that's great too. But once again, we were promised.
Oh, guys, you got any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, or you just want to support the show? Feel free to send a super chat or a gift. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Mass deportations. What's more, you had 10 million illegals come in under Biden. And so this is why I say it's just like too little too late.
I'd say
it's
more
like,
than 10. I'm at 12 to 20, depending on how you count it, but a lot.
Sure. Well, and
too many.
You know,
we agree. Too many.
But we don't even know how many deportations there are because ICE doesn't publish the data anymore. We don't have new official data on removals from the government since December 2024 from the Biden administration. So it's like, you know, what we're being promised. And this, by the way, gets back to how radical it needs to be. It's like, because you could always say, and you wouldn't be wrong at all, that Republicans are going to be better. Are they going to build more border wall? Are we going to have less H-1Bs? Are we going to have more deportations? Absolutely. But when you actually look at the numbers, it's like, okay, well, they brought in 10 to 20 million in 4 years. Right. Even if
I'm sorry, but somehow we got to convince the Dems that, yo, this immigration shit it's a trap. It doesn't help out Americans. Like, it only strains our resources. I mean, look what it's doing in the job market, bro. We gave out 65,000 jobs to H-1B visas, and those could have been taken by American scholars. What are you going to say? That they're not smart enough, that they're dumb? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, do we believe in our youth or not? And if not, then honestly, we should start giving these guys student loan forgiveness because we just made them go through a system we're just going to replace them in. I mean, what the fuck? Like, I'm not sure how Dems can't come to the conclusion that, yo, this ain't it. And I mean, y'all go to college too. Y'all go through this too. So I'm not sure how y'all not with it.
Numbers are true when they say we arrested 600,000. Maybe we only removed 300,000. You're not even making a dent in that. And you could say, well, anything counts. I would say it doesn't make a difference. Like, not really. 600,000 against 20 million, not really. And that's where I would say I favor taking the risk of getting something more radical than what we know, which is getting something that won't be anything.
Well, and I can understand that position if I believe the numbers that you throw. Here's the one thing that I do notice, and I don't think that you're a Democrat.
No,
I really don't. But you do consistently use Democrat talking points against the right. And you have, this is not a primary issue, right? You've advocated that your followers either sit out or vote Democrat in 2020, 22, 24.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. Here's the more disrespectful part about it, right? So, and, you know, people try to say, here's the thing. If you're in, I don't know, maybe your loyalty is not all the way there with mine, or maybe you're not an American supremacist like I am, but I know American supremacist, but I believe we got the best everything. I believe we got the best white people, black people, Asians, Indians, those who are actually, born on American soil. We got the best everything, best scholars, colleges, all that. So it's kind of crazy how we're voting in people who's supposed to be for us, but they're selling us out for people overseas, and they're allowing these corporations to do so. Like, look over American talent. I'm sorry, but like, that's just the most un-American thing you can do.
And as a result, the big one, and this is a big problem that I've had with your approach, not you as a human being. Georgia, right? That flipped the Senate with Kamala Harris as a tiebreaker. And precisely because if people had followed, I'm not saying that you're responsible, but if people had followed your prescription in Georgia, that would be the exact reason for 10 to 20 million illegal aliens coming over an open border wall. That would be the exact reason for stopping them. That would be the exact reason for a doubling in some instances of H-1Bs. And I don't think that those changes are mild. When you say 600,000, we both know that is a point that the left will use. It's not accurate. You do have to include self-deportations because there's an incentive for self.
You do got to be fair. Be fair. You do got to include the self-deportation. That's like what, 1 million or 1.2 million. And if you add that with deportations, the forced ones, then I mean, well, you're at 1.8 million. But I mean, here's the thing, though. The Dems aren't going to say that. They're just going to say, oh, it's only 600,000. And that's true. That's true. But I mean, guys, remember, we offered the easy way and the hard way, and a lot of people took the easy way. So I can't really feel bad about people getting the hard way or these undocumented immigrants getting the hard way. Why? Because we gave you an easy way. You could have signed up on an app. We give you 2,000. We put you on a plane and you out of here. Easy.
Deportations, and more people are self-deporting. Next thing, I bet you'll say that Obama or Clinton deported more people. We did an entire segment on this because people on the right are saying that, and it's factually not true.
Well, I never encourage people to vote Democrat in 2022, 24. Only this is the first year I've told people to vote Democrat. All those other elections, I told people to sit out selectively or altogether. But the Georgia Senate runoff, which is, I think, what you're talking about, January 5, 2021, with Loeffler and Perdue, this is, again, it's like Trump, I think we both agree, got cheated out of that election. Like they stole the election. At the same time, Republicans controlled the state legislature in all the swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, everywhere where that was being adjudicated, Republicans were in control, and they just refused to do anything. They refused to change the slate of electors. And at the same time that they were telling us we're not going to remedy the election, they were also begging us to vote to hold the line in the Senate. And here I am saying, wait a second, why don't we hold the line in the White House? You're worried about the Senate. And then I would add on top of that, and maybe this is going to be controversial, I actually don't think Republicans are really all that against illegal immigration. I think that...
Swear to God, bro. Because, I mean, even Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, well, I own a construction company. We need these illegals. I'm like, lady, bro, you should have got a ticket. Honestly, you should have went to jail just for admitting that. And this is what kills me. I'm like, guys, look, we can sit here and talk about illegal immigrants, undocumented, and how they take low-paying jobs and all this good stuff all day. But you got to remember, though, these are American businesses that are allowing this to happen. They're the ones undermining the American people and participating in it willingly, knowing damn well what they're doing. So, like, even Obama said it, we do need to start punishing employers, and we need to mean it, because Obama said it, but that nigga ain't mean it. No, we need to actually mean it. And honestly, we need to put one of these employers in jail for like 10 to 15 years as a lesson to the rest of them. Like, honestly.
Democrats and Republicans maybe wanted the illegals here because there was a significant labor shortage after the pandemic ended. People were slow to return to work. They were being paid too much. And, so you could say, like,
honestly, we should charge it as treason, because it low-key is. You're betraying the American people for foreign workers. You're undermining Americans for foreign. I mean, come on, that's treasonous. Nope, that's treason. That's death penalty. You're cooked. Public hanging. Okay, no public hangings. No public hangings. But y'all get my point.
Republicans had won, then there wouldn't be 10 to 20 million illegals.
But what numbers do you have to back that up? First off, Nick, come on, you did. You told people to sit out or vote in 2022. You told them to sit out or vote Democrat. And I'll give you 2020. You said you did. But in 2020,
no, in 2020, I was pro-Trump.
No, in 2020, yeah, but in 2022, you told people to sit out or vote Democrat. I remember.
I didn't tell them to vote Democrat in 22. I just said sit out.
You said sit out or vote Democrat. In 2020, you did not say vote Democrat. You said we're going to destroy the GOP and to sit out the runoff in Georgia, which is exactly what flipped the Senate, which is exactly what opened the borders and stopped the border wall and led to the woke fucking nightmare that we dealt.
Hey, shout my man User 2P coming in again. Appreciate the support, my man. Hey, he had too much to say. Just wanted to show some support with the $5 holla. I appreciate that.
with, right? Because if people had gone out, okay, go ahead.
Got to correct the record. I got to correct the record. In 2020, in the 2020 election, I told people vote Trump. It was only in the runoff in Georgia in January 5, 21, that I said, sit this one out. In 22, I don't remember, it was 4 years ago. I believe I just said, don't vote Republican. Like 26, it was a big deal for me to say, vote Democrat, because I'm not a Democrat, as you know, and I appreciate you clarifying that. But no, I've only told people to sit out. This is the first year I'm saying punish them. And I guess the larger point is maybe we just disagree on the level of complicity of the Republicans. I think they're utterly complicit, because even going back.
And here's the problem, though. It's like, the Republicans are utterly complicit. They really don't speak up against anything that Trump is doing, even if it's a bad idea. Shoot, even if Trump makes a bad move or a bad post, they won't speak up against it. And here's the thing, though. You know what? I do have to hold myself accountable on this. Like when Nick Fuentes was saying, oh, yeah, we shouldn't be voting for Trump, I kind of understood why he was saying that. But here's the thing, though. I was rationalizing under the fact that, well, he does need the donors to get this. And I'm be real with you. If he needs Elon and Muriel Edison to get elected, I guess that works out. But here's the problem, though, with that. The people that Trump elect around him after he got elected, that became even a more of a bigger and bigger problem that started to let me know, like, hold on, man, this guy might be going in a different direction. We start seeing the America First guys get pushed out and the Israel First guys get let in. Like I said, bro, we traded Candace Owens, Thomas Massey, and Theo Vaughn for Lindsey Graham, Laura Loomer, Mark Levin. Are you serious? Like, as soon as I seen that shift right there, I had to ring the alarm. And I'm like, guys, this is no longer going on the way we wanted no more. The guys that we kind of rode in on are kind of being shown the way out. And it is what it is. But this is what kind of made me ring the alarm. But Nick Fuentes, I'm going to give him this. He rung the alarm before like anybody else. He pretty much was just saying, look, these people just around him are just automatic. I don't want nothing to do with Trump. Muriel Edison is in. The Israel First guys are surrounding him. And I'm more like, well, let's be real. There's a mixture of people kind of supporting Trump. But Nick Fuentes just went off the raw fact that, hey, yo, these Israel First guys are surrounding him. And I think we should just abandon ship just off that alone because it's looking like he's going to get us in to war with Iran. Well, he was right. He was definitely right about that.
And this is formative for me. Trump won in 2016 saying border wall. And you remember Republicans wouldn't give him more than $1.8 billion for that little fence in the Rio Grande Valley. And they said, no, we're going to focus on Obamacare and the tax cut. We'll do the border wall after the midterms, which they lost. And then they shrugged and said,
so Nick, but now be accurate with your audience. Why wasn't the border wall built? Was it for the same reason that it was completely paused after the 2020 midterms? In other words, you say Republicans, do you mean Democrats? And so they said the perfect is the enemy of the good, and they got done what they could get done at that time. It would be like people in the future saying, he didn't do anything about H-1B visa extensions. Well, sure, because he can't. It'll be blocked 100% by Democrats, maybe 10 to 15, 20% Republicans, but he used the most potent tool at his disposal, right? So you put all this in the same basket, like Republicans didn't. No, they weren't able to. And in many cases, they weren't able to, especially because you told people to sit out. When you look at what they've been able to do, I don't think these are minute differences. We've both agreed these are the most rightward shifts that we've seen in American policy in modern American history, which brings us back to the risk. I think we both agree, the risk of the left, right? You've not had any ill-conceived delusions that this is not a risky play. And I appreciate that you're straightforward about that, right? You're not like, this is going to be great. You know it could backfire.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the risk of the right. So y'all want to talk about immigration? Well, let's be real. The H-1B visas did hit his cap when we let in about 85,000. I mean, he kind of got you on that one. Like, let's just be real on that note alone. But what? My train of thought. Back to it. Oh, and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Appreciate the support. What?
Which brings us back to the risk. I think we both agree. The risk of the left, right? You've not had any ill-conceived delusions that this is not a risky play. And I appreciate that you're straightforward about that, right? You're not like, this is going to be great. You know it could backfire. So what are the concretes? It brings us back to that. If I'm going to take this risk, because I think that a 99% reduction in border crossings is significant, 87% H-1Bs. I think the Supreme Court cases are significant. I think, dozens, hundreds of feet of the wall being built is significant, whatever it is. I think it's significant, but I'm willing to take the risk. This plan will be effective because I need you to walk me through the end of the plan as opposed to hopefully these magic candidates will show up, and then you're going to deal with the donor class again and the ground game again. What does it look like? Give me the plan.
Yeah. Well, once again, I'll just say first, and then I'll get just to respond to the preamble there. It's like, I just grow tired of these games where it's like every cycle there's this excuse. It's like, well, we did this, we couldn't do that. It's politics, and this is just a brief example I'll give. They allocated in the big, beautiful bill, what was it, $200 billion, $190 billion for DHS. Significant portion of that goes to ICE. And then they gave up on deportations in January because they said, well, this is not popular for the midterms. Then they launched the most unpopular war in modern history in Iran. It's like, if you can eat a S-word.
Look, not only are Republicans pretty much stopping the whole mass deportations, but some Republicans are also walking it completely back and talking about, oh, no, we need to give these guys, amnesty. Yeah, we need to give select undocumented immigrants amnesty. And this is the Republicans. So it's not just going to be the ones on the farms. It's going to be the ones on the farms, construction, fast food, and all that good stuff. Oh, yeah. Yep. They're going to give amnesty to all their slave workers.
Sand, I don't know if you'd swear on
it. Shoot. I mean, actually, going to have to pay them actually regular wages since they're going to be citizens. So, but I mean, I'm be real with you. It is going to add to the job market. We're gonna add more workers to the job market, which is gonna bring down wages because there's less scarcity in work.
You can say whatever you want. Yeah, okay. It's Rebel, for God's sake. I mean, we're on YouTube.
Alex Jones, he's on radio, so but they want to see language.
Yeah, take your methylene blue.
Yeah, turmeric. Yeah, they want to see a shit sandwich on Iran, but then on deportations, they go, oh, well, what about the midterms? So to me, these come across as like excuses, but I do want to get into what the plan is. You're right. It's hope. We're hoping for a space to be opened up for a candidate to go in, and there isn't anything specific. I have a candidate in mind, and there's a ground game being built and things like that. I can't share that information. There's maybe a couple candidates that I'm looking at. But again, you know how it goes. Unless somebody's ready to announce, you can't really say, oh, so-and-so is going to run for office. And then especially because it's me, I can't be the harbinger of whoever the candidate will be.
Well, why? But let's explore that, though, because we both agree, two-party system, you need voting blocks. You need coalition. So if there are that many people out there who share your view.
Oh, and shout out Mountain Men Axis. Yeah, Mountain Men Axis. He said the clutch for 30 joules. Appreciate the support, my friend. Hey, shout out.
You shouldn't be a problem for you to endorse anyone. As a matter of fact, that's a net positive. So give us the name.
I can't do that. Once again, it's not somebody that's announced they're running. It's not somebody that maybe even is in contention. But I mean, you know how this goes. When you have people that are running for president, they don't say, they're not going to make an announcement until they're ready to make an announcement.
Well, sure, but usually these people who are developing Republican strategies aren't telling people to vote Democrat in the midterm, right? That's a long game, and you need that answer for people to take it on faith. Otherwise, it's just snake handling.
Well, I think that, once again, either way, you can take my word for it or not, but what isn't going to work is Vance and Rubio. Like, that's a 0-win proposition. You could sit there and say, well, but that's better than a Democrat. At least that's concrete. I would say it's concrete that we're going to lose. It's concrete that if we get a continuation of this, we're going to get more of this, and this is not working. So rather than trying something that isn't working, I want to give a chance that something might work. And if people want to take a leap of faith, then I think that's where they need to go. But
Nick pretty much said, I mean, look, man, we can crash out on MAGA and end up with Dems pretty much taking over anyway, or we can try something new and maybe we, fuck up and, make it worse, or maybe we can get something, we can get lucky. And that is a wild ass risk right there. That's quite the risk. I'll be real.
Okay.
The way it is right now,
not working. I guess you would have to define working, right? So again, this is right. Okay, first net negative migration country, right? For over 30 years.
I will be real on this one though. I don't like the idea of just the Republicans expect us to vote for them just because they're going to fearmonger on Dems. Like, but the Dems is like, yeah, I don't like that. I'm gonna be real with you. It's just not. I'm just gonna be honest, you guys. Like, it's like dealing with a girl. When a girl tells you I'm the best you ever gonna get in your life, you know what you do? Your ass leave. Why? Because now they feel like they got that type of leverage over you, so they could do, like, trust me, when they start talking like that, or anybody.